election, what do you expect of the president? Do you think he's extending an olive leaf to Team Tanga Tanga?
Not at all.
Do you expect he's going to rant again?
It depends. If he puts his speech down and holds his podium like this
and leans forward,
then you know. No, you know, in communication strategy, I can tell you for free that when you study the president's body language, every rant he's ever made, he has the same posture.
Is it a posture of frustration as far as you're concerned? Because for me, I'm not sure why he even leans on the podium.
You know there are topics. It's sort of like if someone asks you about your ex who treated you the worst. You know, you sigh. Yeah. That's how the president is. He's like, these people, and that tells you, and his body language tells you how genuine he is in that particular anger and frustration. Because what is strange to him and what he does not understand is why Team Tanga Tanga's ambition and his legacy are divergent. Because that's the strange thing. Because if you look at Joe Biden today in the United States, every speech he makes, he talks about his friend Obama. Because Biden understands the track record he had with Obama as deputy president is all he needs for him to be the #1 democratic candidate and the most likely person to beat Trump in 2020. He understands that. But for some reason, Tanga Tanga and Uhuru's legacy are separate. And therefore, this is the first ruling party in, as far as my history can tell me, to divide a nation based on an agenda that should ideally be one.
We should be one.
And therefore, is the president extending an olive branch? No. I think he has an agenda. That Big Four agenda tells him that he needs to do manufacturing, and he talked about Rivertex Jamhuri Day 1.5 years ago. So to him, this is something that he has to do. So will he have a prepared speech? I bet so. If he does go off script, the sign will be obvious. He will lean forward, he will put his hands on the podium
and speak in Swahili. This time not Kikuyu. Ruth, your thoughts on and question whether you think the president will actually extend an olive leaf, because at the end of the day, to some extent, he does need his deputy president, for example,
yes,
for him to have a legacy that he can leave behind. Do you think he's going to extend an olive leaf?
You know, in as much as he needs to have a consistent message that, you know, he wants to work, and there's a faction of his people that are necessarily frustrating his, frustrating his resolve to work and implement his agenda. He is going to a different turf, you know. He has to align his message to the people that he is going to meet. Remember that these are not just, he's not just going to meet politicians, he's not just going to meet Tanga Tanga people. He's actually going to meet voters who are aligned to Tanga Tanga, in the natural sense, are aligned to Tanga Tanga. So his message, in a way, I tend to feel will tend to be conciliatory. He will try to, yes, he will try to explain in a softer way that, you know, I'm just trying to fulfill my agenda. The message will be consistent that he wants people to work, he wants people to focus, he wants even these Tanga Tanga MPs to go back to their various constituencies and actually work, but he will not be as tough as he was when, you know, when Tanga Tanga people came to visit his political turf. So I feel like I expect him to be calmer, I expect him to be softer, because at the end of the day, the president will decide who he will support for the upcoming general elections, and he will need the entire country to rally behind whoever he shall choose. So, you know, different messages, different audiences. Yeah.
Okay. David, your analysis and maybe thoughts on what you expect the president to do, because somebody said he's unpredictable, and I begged to differ and said he's predictable, especially when he flies off the handle.
Almost, let me tell you, the president is strategic. In fact, this is one of those master strokes. You know, when you read 48 Laws of Power, The Art of War, you literally see what he has decided to do. Now, the president, I bet, he may not have said it directly, but it is almost obvious. He feels undermined.
Yeah.
He feels undermined by his deputy. He made it very clear in the last meeting that the deputy didn't make me, I made him. I chose him to be DP.
Do you think he was saying that to the deputy president or to the leaders in Central Province? Because again, remember this was said in vernacular. Almost,
Listen.
referring...
My friend, there are things only best spoken in your first language. What was the audience the president was addressing? Predominantly Kikuyu. English, Kiswahili would not get to their bone marrow. They were to be messengers from there on to the people they meet out there on what the message is and what is going on. And it had to be clarified in the language of the mother. So well so that there are no, there are no misunderstandings or misquotations or whatever it is. This is it. I am saying what I am saying. The president feels undermined. Even if he were to address my good friend in Inyoro, who's become a letdown because I thought he would learn from the likes of, Ken Okoth as a young person and be a different kind of leader. He spoke to them to tell them, you can't undermine me. You are either with me or I will run you over. Now, what has he decided to do? To go to Kapseret, whose constituency? Sudi, who has been the mouthpiece in chief for the deputy and for Team Tanga, hurling insults left, right, center, sideways, around and about. Why is he gone there? Because the president knows that the ground to which he is going to resonate with him. That is the same constituency that almost threw the deputy president under the bus about the maize issue. They know very well who was with them when things were tough and who was supposedly against them.
Yeah.
It is the constituency that appreciates that when they were stuck with the maize crisis and not being paid, it was the president warning Kiunjuri in full glare of TV and saying, you dare pay those rich men instead of paying them wananchi, I'll come for you. I do not think that he has been foolish to go and launch Rivertex after that tirade. Because, and I'm sure he will go there and say,
so it's a strategic
I came
move.
here, I asked for your votes. I said I would improve your lives. I have come to fulfill that promise. Rivertex is here. We are going to pump money into Rift Valley Textiles, and we hope that it will get back to where it used to be and even own a football club, the Rivertex that was, and become as big as it's supposed, and employ you people. But warn your sons like your MP, who have decided that rather than improving your lives, he has never been to my office to ask for Rivertex